Hello, 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 ladies and gentlemen out there in the whole social media internet landscape. Welcome back to another episode of Tripping Through the Stars. I am your happy host, Jack Childress. I'm still working on getting the fangs. I haven't got them yet. Just they're coming. They're coming. Don't worry. This week, after I did a crazy experiment on Facebook, I'm going to be interviewing two fellas, both in two completely different locations, that I'd never met before. And that's what makes this so much fun. I get to meet new people, doing new things, and it's always a blast. Tony can't be with us this week. We're having to record a little later than normal, but he will be back with us next week. So don't worry, he's fine. He's fine. He's safe. It's all good. So on the show this week, we have Brandon Hill, and we're just going to call him Terry. And these guys have got so much to not just clue you in on, but clue me in on. Because, like I said, just meeting. So, Brandon, Terry, let's start with you, Brandon. Give everybody a
All
little
right.
background. Who are you? What are you? Where you been? Where you at? What you doing?
All right. Well, my pen name, that's Brandon Hill, uh, from Louisiana, here in the States. I've basically been I'm a published author, like around 9 books now, soon to probably be 10. Um, so what Terry and I have been working on for the longest time is a series that we call Wild Space Saga. We are both really big into science fiction. We met, online, back when I was in college, and that was way back in like 1995. So we've known each other for, well, damn, 30 years, I think. Um, what we're working on currently is a book series that we call Wild Space Saga. This is the first book. It's called Between the Devil and the Dark. Um, and the second book is Wrath and Redemption. These are the current covers. They're currently undergoing some rewrites, but these versions are still available online. Uh, and like I said, I've been writing for ages. Always wanted to be a writer. Also, we draw to get ideas for what we write. We have a DeviantArt page where we post various concept art and short comics that we make in that universe, and we've been doing that for quite some time. I'm a pretty dedicated artist. I've been drawing for about as long as far back as I can remember. That's a picture of one of the main characters for Wild Space
And
on
that
Brand.
is that is great.
And so I'll go ahead and go ahead to Terry. Go ahead and tell me about you.
Oh, good. Drop it in my lap. Love it. Well, yeah, it's been a long while. But basically, kind of reached out to me. It was 2006 you reached out to me. And that's how I remember it. So we've been doing this actually for nearly 20 years, and we've known each other, like it says, nearly 30 years. Um, as you can tell, I live in England. uh, uh, just excuse me, my words are escaping me. But yeah, basically, I do a lot of technical stuff, my own work. I don't have any to hand, unfortunately. But Brandon was like, "Oh, you can draw tech. That's my bane. Can you do that for me?" And that so it's like we started from there, and then I had a few ideas myself, and eventually, because Brandon actually created the universe, the wild space stuff, but then it's sort of like, oh well, I've got an idea here that might help you, and then it sort of burgeoned, it sort of expanded into the two of us
On here.
creating, but the traction on publishing stories.
We met in a it was a an email discussion group on an old '80s cartoon we were both into called Jason the Wheeled
Mm,
Warriors, and that was how we had first come across each other. And we were both big fans of the show.
mm. Because the guy that wrote that was why he went on to write Babylon 5.
J. Michael Straczynski, yeah, he did some of the writing for the show, and
I,
we
I,
even
I held back on that because I didn't want to risk trying to pronounce it.
fortunately I know how. Yeah, yeah, we actually even put some things in our story that are inspired by Jason the Wheeled Warriors into Wild Space Saga. And I guess you might want to know about Wild Space Saga. It's a big galaxy spanning sci-fi adventure series. I mean, the way I like to say is like we drew upon things that we loved, you know, growing up. Old sci-fi cartoons, old sci-fi shows that we used to watch. Babylon 5, Farscape, Stargate SG-1, Jason the Wheel Warriors, even old Americanized anime like Voltron, Saber Rider and the Star Sheriffs, Robotech, that kind of stuff, and
Transformers.
yeah,
Mhm.
Transformers. Things with, you know, big concepts, really out of this world concepts, and things that sparked our imagination. You know, imagine all that kind of rolled into one, and then you have that's kind of what you have with Wild Space Saga, combined with, you know, my love for sci-fi, and Terry also likes kind of those kind of gritty crime drama type things, the British crime drama type things. We have elements of that in there. We have all kinds of cool stuff because, I mean, hell, the story takes place on multiple different planets in the distant future, and so there's a room to put all kinds of interesting things going from world to world, and it all kind of centers around two particular ships. Well, we have three, but that third one is something we're working on right now. But the two main ships, the Reckless with our captain Xerxes Baraska, and the other's a Shadow Star with Paige and her group of mercenaries and their adventures, and it all kind of comes together because of something that they start to discover that puts, you know, all of humanity and their alien friends in danger. And so we have a brand story that we're trying to put together book by book, but every book is sort of episodic. So it's sort of in the vein of how Straczynski put together Babylon 5 as a grand epic that spanned 5 seasons. We don't have a plan on exactly how many books we want to make, but we have a good idea about where we want to go with the story, what the entire story is going to be about. And so we're hoping that people jump in on this. And since we're only 2 books in right now, and join us.
Only about the one ship originally, the Reckless, but I did such a comprehensive job when you asked me to design the Shadow Star and the crew for it. You're like, okay, I guess we can use both.
Yeah. Isn't that the fun thing about writing, though, is that you can sit out with your idea of what you're going to do and then find yourself halfway down the trail going, this was not what I planned. And it just kind of evolves and changes. It's the craziest thing.
A lot of it came about because Brandon had asked me about it doing this story. He had the working title of Mercenaries. He needed a crew and a ship for it, and then I found myself in hospital with sepsis.
Oh,
So I needed something to do while I was recovering. So I ended up not just designing the ship, I designed it from the ground up, inside, outside, every part. I can, you know, I've planned out the wiring. I'll get like that though. I will build it up so completely. And then as a result, it's like, right, well, the crew, because I'm still sitting in this hospital bed. And then I fleshed out the crew, and like Brandon's like, this is really comprehensive. It wasn't what I was expecting.
okay. I gotta tell you, our very first episode when we got this show going, we had Alan V. Chessman and his co-author Annette Ellerise, and it was another one of these situations where we got Alan in the States, and then she's in Israel, so we had to work the schedule to get that right.
Okay, even worse for time difference. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, their epic space saga that they're working on, they're doing exactly what you just said. Like every little detail, even like to a crew member that might have one spoken line or not even a line, they just get pointed out. They know their name, they know their rank, they know what their hair color looks like, everything. So they've got stacks of information.
That's what I'm for, because you know otherwise Brandon forgets things like that, and so I'm here going, you forgot something. I did. What did I forget? And it's be like, then just send him the entire information. It's like all of this. Oh yeah, okay, thank you. That's what I'm here for. On the memory.
Yeah, he definitely is. I'm very ADD when it comes to things, and so I'll forget a lot. And but he has memory like a steel trap.
That makes y'all like a perfect yin yang situation right here.
We do complement each other very well, actually, in the sense because I'm very detail focused. It means I remember, like I said, when I design a ship, I'll do it from the ground up. And whilst I kind of play fast and loose with physics because I don't want to go that heavy on the sci-fi, we're still having fun and adventure.
Yeah, I
You
was going to
want
ask
things.
y'all if it was going to be a hard science fiction or more of a soft science fiction. You know?
Yeah,
It's
this
yeah,
definitely
it
soft
is.
science fiction.
I'd say soft. It's just how sometimes like even in a film or even like they'll be able to open the panel and have everything you need behind it, or like Star Trek tells you how a warp engine works, even though it's all very fantastical.
Hmm.
But it's enough for your mind's eye to accept as kind of real, if you know what I mean. The same reason to say Transformers, when they did the live action stuff, they put all the little gears and bits and pieces in there because that's how people's brains are going to accept it on screen in front of you.
Yeah.
If they made them too simplistic, they wouldn't look right. If they were too complicated, they would. So the reason I go into that level with the spaceship is you need it to be functioning on a level that means people go, oh yeah, that's a big spaceship, that is. But you can still have some fantastical space engine that gets you from one end to the other in minutes rather than, years. And that's what I like to try and do with it.
Even
But also,
oh, go ahead.
yeah,
Go ahead.
sorry, B. Yeah. But also it means you can then exploit any flaws in your designs for plot reasons. Because you know what actually is like been built on the cheap.
I like that in story development, though. I like people to get it into my head. It's the old show don't tell. Like put that image in my head. Let me see the hallways. Let me see the different bunkhouses, the different, what the deck looks like. Whatever, give me that. I like that.
Oh yeah, he definitely puts that together. I mean, even elements that we kind of that some people will probably pass it as, oh, that's just kind of too Star Trekky. Like we have an alien race that can actually crossbreed with humans, but there's a particular reason why they can. It's not just that, oh yeah, alien race, let's get together. No, I actually want to say, okay, yeah, there is an alien race. Yes, they can crossbreed with humans, but there is a purpose behind it, and it actually all kind of comes together with everything that we have for the whole big story. So it's going to be really interesting.
Dude, it sounds interesting. I'm telling you, I'm definitely going to be going and getting on my Kindle and grabbing at least that book one there and get started on it. I'm not a very fast reader, so you know, but
So don't worry, you'll have time to read that one, and then the extended version of it will be out.
yeah. Now, let me ask: are y'all going to get these on Audible?
We actually had them on Audible at one point in time, but there was kind of a bit of a shakeup in the publishing company that we're with, and so they had to take it down. And I know they're probably planning on making it into an audiobook again at a later point.
Okay.
And in all fairness, the person who was doing the audiobook reading, he was decent. He had some interesting voices for some of the characters, but I don't quite think he nailed it with some of the voices. Just not to down on him or anything like that. No, he did a good job. We actually tested several people. He did the best, but it still wasn't quite what we were hoping for. But it worked, and so I'm pretty sure they're going to be coming back at a later point to do another audiobook of it because I really enjoyed how the audiobook sounded, how it came off.
Mhm.
Was it cool, like the first time you actually heard your book being read
Oh,
and performed? Was that just not the craziest
oh,
thing?
definitely.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
awesome. Well, now,
because
if
I
you
mean,
guys ever
like
need,
at work,
oh, go ahead.
uh, I was going to say because at work we were going over the audiobook and at work I was listening to the audiobook while I was at my post. I'm a security guard and we're not supposed to be on our phones. Kind of got me in trouble listening to the audiobook while
Oh,
sitting
crap.
there at work.
But I mean, how can you not listen? I mean, it's like, I can't, I gotta hear, I gotta hear it.
Yeah.
What's going
Oh
on
yeah,
here?
very much. I ended up putting it on while you lay in bed with your headphones on, listening to my own book being read to me. I just wrote all this, and
See,
here I am listening to it.
I got excited just listening to Word read aloud the short story that I had published. That got me all worked up. That wasn't even a real person. But now,
Yeah,
if you
but
guys ever want
it's
to
weird
explore,
hearing it back to you, isn't it? Like
it is.
what you've written, and it's
Really good
like
feeling.
this is being, yeah,
Yeah,
like you're getting somewhere with it.
yeah, it's a total trip. But now, if you guys ever want to explore some other narrators, I'm friends with a few. Just saying, Matt Crow, Sean Saltzman, list goes on. So, and that's something else. If you ever get a chance to be written into a book, do it, especially if it's one that's going to get narrated, because that narrator will try to do you. And I've had two different, I think it's two or three different narrators have all done my voice in books because I'm in several. So it's a cool thing. If you ever get a chance to do that, do that. On that subject, have you written in to this series that you're working on people you know in real life?
I think anyone who- not me, not not
So
me.
that's how
Not,
you came across just then, B. You just all I heard was.
can you hear me now?
Yeah, no, it was just funny because you clearly you were thinking out loud and you went.
I wasn't doing that. Must have been a sound glitch. But
Hey,
anyway,
it was
what I was
funny
trying
on
to
our end.
okay, well, what I was trying to say, I was trying to think about, was there? I was trying to think about was there anybody
I like putting him off.
that
It's
I
all
had
right.
that I had that I had borrowed, from real life, putting into books, and not with Wild Space Saga, not to my knowledge. At least if I have, I might have forgotten, and I hate that because I'm a very, very forgetful person. So, no, not to my knowledge. No, no.
Okay.
I tend to base the appearance of some of my characters based on either people I know, or people I've met, or people I've seen
Mhm.
that inspire me in some way. Brandon will know because I'm always sending him like screenshots from Instagram of a particular person I've been following. Going, yeah, check out this one. This one reminds me of this character or that character. Yeah. So
Yeah, there's that model that you were always
it's
sharing.
because you've got the hots for her.
Well, yeah, so do you.
I'm fine. I just think she's cool. The model's called Danny Devine. She's like a goth model. But yeah, so Brandon tends to get a bit excited when I send him a picture of her.
So now, have you written her or the character he's talking about with her kind of look and appearance or feel or whatever?
She tends to be kind of a model for, or at least an inspiration for one of our characters, the Pirate Queen Alexa. She's fiery redhead and very sassy. She's also kind of half dragon, genetically engineered. So yeah, so we kind of have some elements of her put into Alexa.
It's
Okay.
more a physical build I went for because she's quite a curvy individual, and I wanted that for the Alexa character. But also it's quite amusing because for all her this wonderful posh English accent that Danny has, she also swears like a sailor, and it's something I wanted for the Alexa character. She's very same, very posh accent, very lovely, very very polite, prim and proper until she gets annoyed, and then yeah, she turns the air blue, and but the accent changes from a wonderful English accent like that to what's known as a Bristolian accent, which is sort of to the west of Britain, where you sound like a farmer, and she'll be effing and blinding and using every dirty word under the sun while she has a go at you.
I love see
Back
now
to a
I
very
love
posh
that.
accent.
See, I love that. Now, granted, this particular character, her accent isn't so much posh, and I cannot for the life of me remember where Carl has her come from, but she's in the trilogy Loki versus the Apocalypse, which is set in Chris Philbrook's Adrian's Undead Diary universe. And Loki, because it's set over in England, and every bloody word is a fucking cuss word. Like she just is, she's very uncouth, and I just love that. I absolutely freaking love that.
There are parts of this country where people are like, yep, every other word.
I love it. And that's the beauty of getting to do all these shows over the years that I've been doing on this. I've gotten to know and become, good friends with quite a few people over in the UK and a couple others actually up in Scotland. And I love the accent, man. I love it. I can't do it.
It's only London if it's south of Watford, though.
Didn't know that was a thing. I will run that past Carl or Nick or one of them.
Yeah, is it south of Watford? Yeah, there's London. So I'm in the Midlands.
You also got to understand, Terry, we Americans love an English accent because
Yeah.
I know, and you see, I
said
know in
dumbest pub in
America
England.
that basically England is seen as London, right? And then it's Scotland and Wales. And
Yeah,
it's
pretty
like,
much.
and it's like, no, you'll find that London is down in the corner, and then there's the rest of us, but there's not much of interest. Well, especially in the Midlands, apart from having one of the best rugby team in the country right now.
Hey, well, now you guys have got, you got the 2 books out for this series, and like you had said, you've got other books that you've written, that you've got out there in the wild. For someone new to writing, like this ugly mug right here, what would you offer as advice to help them stay motivated? Because so many people start something and then they just quit and they never go back and they just let it go, even though they may have been able to get, create something great. What would be your advice to them to stay motivated?
My advice is to read. Read a lot. Keep reading and keep writing. Your reading is going to get reading different books, seeing other authors, what they've been able to accomplish will get you motivated. It's going to light a fire in your behind. That's my motivation. Seeing the amazing things that other people have written. I mean, right now I review books. I write book reviews for a website called Interview Magazine, and so it always excites me reading new books and being able to talk about those books. And especially if I really get into a new series. I mean, and so I see and seeing how well these series work out. This makes me want to keep moving. That's what got me to continue writing and finish my first book.
Oh, don't I know it? Hey, Terry, I've been reading this one. I've had an idea.
Oh, you got me.
At which point I then do what usually seems to be my favourite pastime, according to Brandon, which is shooting down.
Yeah, he does that a lot.
You've got a true friend when instead of being all uplifting and encouraging, they're just an asshole. So that's
basically my role is he gets his head in the clouds and I drag him to earth with the bum.
Yeah, I'm the architect. He's the oracle. I exist to balance the equation. He exists to unbalance it.
Even worse, he's like the codes inspector. He's coming through to check your work, going, no, bad rafters, no, bad piping, no, flooring sucks.
Oh yeah, I'll write something like a chapter of the story, and he'll send it back with a ton of ratings through it.
usually in the dialogue, yeah.
Oh, the deadly red pen.
Gets excited to get certain information across, and one thing often happens is he forgets how people talk in certain ways. And whilst I understand he's trying to get the information across, it's like your character doesn't normally talk like that. They're now kind of acting out character. You got to kind of get it where you need it, but that's where we complement each other. So if I'm not saying enough, Brandon can add the information. If he's saying too much, I can take it out.
Y'all got a hell of a partnership.
Yeah, and sometimes we do kind of butt heads. I mean, usually it's often because I don't see something that he sees, like the other day. And when it comes to like my artwork, and he's very particular about how he wants the artwork to come out and be presented, and I can respect that, even though sometimes we can have our differences. Whenever I draw, for some reason, and I'm it's not the only one who's told me this. There is a thing about my eyes. I don't know. It's about maybe how I see things. Maybe it's because I have an astigmatism or something. It's the eyes don't always look balanced, and even especially when they're looking one way or the other. And he's always saying, they don't look right. And he's saying, I got to do this, and I'm like, okay. And then when he and I will go back and forth sometimes with him kind of losing his cool, or even me near losing my cool.
Well, and it's not usually spoken; it's done in messages. But it's usually when the capital letters and the swearing words start appearing, he realizes I'm getting irritated.
Yeah, I mean, and like I said, I don't blame him. But like he'll have me, do I'll go back and redo the eyes, and he's like, "Now doesn't that look better?" And I'm like, I'll take your word for it, but I really can't see it, but and it's not me trying to put one over on him. It's he can see certain about the eyes that I can't. But I'll do it
Basically,
that way
when I
because if it
stop
looks
when I
better, it looks
stop cursing at him, he knows he's in the clear.
better. So, and it's not just that. I mean, it's with his characters, he's also very particular about the characters. And when I draw his characters, it's sometimes he puts so much detail in. And if you ever go to our DeviantArt page, and for those who want to know, it's wildspacesaga.deviantart.com. You can tell my art style is very different from his, but I can draw his characters, and he's very particular how he wants them drawn. And even with the ones that have a lot of heavy detail, many of them do. Especially a particular set of characters we've been working on recently called the Coven. That will be coming out in the newest book, which is on its way. They have a lot of cybernetic implants. They almost look like the Borg, and so there's a lot of detail to be put in those things. And though it's really cool to draw them, it can be a pain, especially when I have to render them digitally and put in all those details. I did every year we do a Christmas themed Wild Space Saga picture, one or two of them. And the one I did for last Christmas involved one member of the Coven, and she had all these wires and gizmos hooked onto her body. And good Lord, that was hard to draw.
She's nicknamed Angel because basically she flies. She floats in the air and then decided to give herself holographic wings and a halo because lean into the nickname you've just been given. So
Yeah,
that's why Brandon then used her for the Christmas card floating above the tree.
But it turned out really well, and I was actually very proud of how this turned out. Despite all the complex wires and things and tattoos she had on her body, but he's very very exacting on how he wants the character drawn. Another character that I actually enjoy drawing her, but there's some elements to her body that can be a bit of a pain because she has a ton of tattoos, and her name is Artemis. She has piercings on her face, and he is always on my case about how to do the piercings. I think I finally figured it out now, though.
It's a bridge piercing, not a nostril piercing. So you've got to get the bridge piercings on the nose bridge, not down here, where you draw them. That's why I tell you.
Yeah. And because my art style is sort of anime-esque, it is sometimes a little difficult because it's a little hard to spot where you would have the bridge of the nose anyway. And for me, it's never been that big of a deal, but for him, it definitely is. So, gotta get that right. And after lots of trial and error, I finally am able to draw her properly.
Well, now, in the written version of the description of her, was that easier to do than the actual drawing, or is it going to be harder to constantly, remind people what she looks like through the words?
Writing a description of a character is a whole lot easier than it is to draw them. When you're drawing them, you got to mind every detail. When you're writing it, you can use shortcuts, and also you can have a good idea. You don't have to be exact unless you want to draw focus on a particular thing, and so the person can usually get a good idea of what that person looks like in their head, if you do it right. I mean, I've read books where some authors are not as clear with certain characters as they ought to be, like one I'm reading right now with these alien characters, and the author describes certain elements of them, but it's still hard to visualize. But that's just how it is. It's all in how what you want to focus on. With Artemis, she has pink hair. She has these originally, I think Terry was just trying to draw makeup smears, or no, it was nanite stuff smears, and I just kind of made them a permanent part of her
constantly run with waste material from Nanosystems, so it's always just smeared black. Looks like black smeared makeup. They're not
tattoos.
Them look almost. Before you go,
almost made them look. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, man. Sorry. Go ahead.
It's not stained her face or anything. They can wipe off, but it just returns. It just constantly returns. So she always looks like she's been crying out her makeup.
Yeah, and I just kind of put that together, and I almost made it look like it's just a permanent part of her, even though it's not. They're what I'm trying to say is that for her, she has those elements of her body that stand out. And so when I have to write about it, I can usually focus on those only. She has tattoos all on her arms. She has one arm that's like her skin looks like right because she had to rebuild her arm from biomatter in a sewage tank. She has very very bright green eyes, and of course piercings all in her face. So yeah, she's very very distinctive character even when you describe how she looks. And also with writing, you don't have to describe it all the time. But if you're writing in a newer book, it's healthy to maybe put a small bit of description every time, just in case somebody's just picking up the series from the middle book or something like that. Oh,
Yeah.
and speaking of books, we do have other books in Wild Space Saga, but what we had to do, we had to take them down because originally they were self-published, and now we have the publisher pick them up, and they're called Tales of Wild Space. Those are side stories in the universe, and these are the books that I was showing off here. These are the main books in the universe, and the others are called Tales of Wild Space.
Awesome. Now, what are some of the big stumbling blocks you guys come across as you're writing? Like your weakness, the things that just keep screwing with you no matter how hard you try to not go through the same thing over again. What are
Well,
your things?
I think Terry would say for me, it's just tends to be my tendency to over describe. That is just a bad habit I have. He can curtail it, and I'm actually part of a critique group in my city, and even they'll tell me this as well. So it is something everybody can see, and so he helps me to trim it. They help me to trim it. Um, Also for me, it's because I'm so ADD. I've always got like a million things to do, and it's making time to write, and so I'm not as consistent with it as I ought to be. And I think it's something we both kind of have an issue with.
Procrastination, I'd say, is definitely one of the biggest issues.
Yeah.
I will have something that will knock me off kilter mentally, because the nature of my job can be like that sometimes. Recently moved house, trying to settle into that,
Oh Lord,
and it's just sort of then it puts me out of the original rhythm, and then I struggle to get back into it. God knows I've been like that for the last month. Haven't I been? It's been a rough month for me, and I've got a lot to catch up on for him. But then because there's been a few recent changes, like you said, there's a little bit of upheaval with the publisher. It sort of changed some of what we're doing, so the timelines are all changed a bit. So it's a case of just making sure we're working on something and keeping the momentum up.
Well, that brings up a question. If you were to go into my Word on this computer right here, right now, you would see that I've got like 5 different things that I've started. None of them are done, but they're started, they're there. So, like, if I get stuck somewhere and I'm just like, I don't want to mess with this right now, but then I have an idea for something else, I can just go back to that old story and kind of piddle with it to, keep the juices flowing. Do you guys have anything like that? Do you have like other stories that no one even knows about, but they're on your computer and they're there if you just need to step away and go play with something else for a minute?
Oh, I definitely do.
Oh,
Go ahead, Terry. Okay, I definitely do. I write. Wild Space Saga is not the only book series that I've worked on or am working on. I have other things that I've done. Yeah, if you go to like Amazon and look up, my Wild Space Saga books, they have the author name. You highlight, you click on it, and it goes to the author page, and yeah, you'll see like all my other books, and I have things that I'm working on here and there. But lately, I've been concentrating most of my energy on getting Wild Space Saga done. But there are other books in the background definitely that I definitely go back to or definitely start working on. If I have to, try to regain focus in another area, or let something go fallow and then go back to it.
Yeah, it's like kind of cleansing the palate. You just want to kind of clear out for a minute and then come back fresh and attack again. What about you, Terry?
Well, what might not be writing, it's often the world itself is often in my head. I live with it in my head. Usually, even before I go to sleep, I'll be working through conversation with a couple of characters, things like that. That's one reason why, if you wonder why they're so well developed, Brandon, is because they're always in my brain, talking away with each other and working things out. So whilst I'm not writing, it's always in my head being developed, being built, because it's just the way I work. That, or it's just Warhammer. the constant building and painting of the dudes, that keeps me going. I mean, like I said, I'm out here painting it now. This is the thing that keeps me sort of sane, really. It's just painting little plastic men. But all the time, there's always something going on in my head, what I think can be done with the character, what conversations can be had. It's a lot about where I come from, where Brandon's one of the most recent drawings, where he's one of the Coven members is having a medical from one of the other characters. The idea is the two of them hit it off quite well. Not romantically, no, as such, more intellectually, but that's come about from me thinking about how the two characters are. I'm like, well, these two would actually get on really well. And then I've been thinking about the kind of conversations they would have. It's not actually related to the story itself, but it then is like, that's how they'd interact. And as a result, when I do actually then put pen to paper, as it were, it seems to be the interaction then itself feels a lot more natural, because I've been working it through in my mind the whole time, even if I've not been able to physically write it.
Now, have you ever like sat doing like what you're doing right now, painting the figures, and actually start talking to the figure, having one of these conversations?
No, but all
Why
of
not?
because all of them have backstory anyway. I mean, there's one lot that I've been working on. I'll give you an example of the colours of them. They're he's thrown it away. They're purple, green. If you are familiar with Evangelion, those colours will be very familiar with the Unit 1, because that's what it's based on. They've literally got 0-1 on their shoulder pad, because they're all the whole warband is just called Unit 1. And the idea I did behind these is they're led by this crazy guy who keeps trying to do exactly what they used to do in Evangelion with the angels and things like that. So they keep coming across all these dead planets that are completely red, like the Earth gets turned red in that. And so all of these guys are just being led by this mad guy experimenting on planets. And that's what I came up with, just because initially I did the color scheme because I like the colors, and then it's like now they've got a whole backstory that's also themed around the anime.
Oh, that's freaking awesome. All right, well, let's kind of drift just a little bit. I want to get more into the two of you as far as your other interests. I mean, we all love sci-fi. That's why there's a show. That's why you're writing what you're writing. We love all that. But what are some secondary interests you have?
Well, I'd like to play video games from time to time. Like currently, Destiny is like my big thing. Let me see. I mean, most of the time for me, when I'm not drawing or writing, I'm listening to the audio books. I'll go maybe to the bookstore, that kind of thing. Or like hang out with my friends. We'll do a lot. Also, I love to watch anime. I'm a big, huge anime fan. If you haven't already guessed, that's some stuff I said earlier. So yeah, those things stuff I tend to do, and then there are a few other shows that I gotten into. Though I haven't followed them as faithful as I need to. Like I started watching Fallout, but I need to go back to finish doing that.
You should.
So,
it's very, very good.
Yeah, and so that's pretty much what I like. Like majority of my time when I'm not writing, I'm drawing. I mean, I draw like almost all the time. That is like how I normally keep my brain occupied. But while I'm drawing, I can usually sit there and watch a show or watch some anime or something like that. So I can multitask that way.
Cool. All right, what about you, Terry?
Oh, I mean, obviously, I
Obviously, the
draw.
painting the miniatures, we got that. We know that
Yeah.
one, but
Um,
past that.
I'm a two major sports for me really as well. Is obviously rugby, because it's a great sport. And my current team, the Northampton Saints, has topped the league we have a playoff for the title, and we had the semi-final last night. We've won our semi-finals. We're off to the finals to play for the title next week.
Oh, hell yeah.
So very happy man. Very good season this year, and then we're losing 8 players overseas next year. So we're gonna have a completely diminished team.
Oh, no.
And then if it's got wheels and it goes fast, that tends to be one of my things. Endurance race is a big one. Old Le Mans 24 Hours is coming up in a couple of weeks.
Oh, yeah.
That's my big one. I love that. I love that one. I've never actually managed to watch the whole 24. I've watched 18 hours of it, and I stayed up for 12 once.
Dang.
I've been there 4 times. Yeah.
I didn't even know people thought to try to do that.
Oh, yeah. It's I love it. So it's a passion, you can tell, right? They have 6-hour races throughout the year as well as a championship. I'll watch all of it. I'll watch a lot. I mean, if it comes to it, I'll tape it and then I'll watch it in bursts. But I won't miss a minute because I love it.
Well, that's just something I just found we have in common. Granted, different sports, but for me, obviously, it's American football, college and pro. And I still love to watch me some NASCAR. Yeehaw,
Oh, yeah, but you only turn left.
Nah, they do some road courses.
Oh, God, you started them on NASCAR.
You got to learn to turn right occasionally. It's more fun.
They do. You got Watkins Glen, you got Sears Point, and they've added the Indy road course that they run. So they do some. In fact, there was the Busch Series today before I got on with you guys. They were running a road course in Portland, Oregon. So
I think there is a MotoGP this weekend at Mugello. Do like a bit of bike racing.
I couldn't do that. I'd be out there just freaking out, because it's one thing to be in a car and wreck with all the safety gear and the harnesses and stuff. You out there on a bike, you go down.
Oh, yeah. Well, they've got a lot better. They've got like airbags in the leathers now. So as soon as they get thrown off the bikes, they inflate. They get off and they look like this because the shoulders are all inflated. But they do still pick up some injuries. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I wonder if it does like the cartoon thing, the eyes bug out too. Like, whoop.
That's why they keep the visor down.
I'm not a huge sports person, though I do pay attention to some football. Here like the only 2 teams though I really care much about are like the Cowboys and the Saints. Kind of interesting. I got Saints here in Louisiana, and they got Saints.
What's the name of my team? The Northampton Saints. Yeah.
Again, look at this. Crazy kismet. That's what that is. That's just nuts. Me, I'm an Alabama fan.
Actually met in person, which was 12 years ago now, B. I actually got my brother a New Orleans Saints cap to fetch back for him because we're the Northampton Saints. It's like New Orleans Saints. You got to fetch the cap back when you've got a team with the same name.
Wait. Now I know right now shipping costs across the pond are just insane. But do you have you not gotten you one of the England Saints caps, and don't you have one of the U.S. Saints caps?
Well, that's what I bought. Yeah, I bought one while I was there, and I got it for my brother because he's going a bit bald. He wears a lot of hats.
Yeah.
So I got him a New Orleans Saints hat. So I thought, what better thing to fetch back? But no, yeah, I've never really thought to send you a Saints hat. B.
Well, I'm not really a hat person, but I do look more like jerseys or something like that. But
that's one of the best things about rugby. So they realise that most of us are massive blokes, so there'd be a shirt that fits you or not.
For me, and besides, that reminds me, that's still something I haven't sent. A package I haven't sent is the way I've been meaning to do it since Christmas time, and I kind of and it kind of slipped my mind, so I need to do that. But yeah, it is also because shipping costs across the pond.
Yeah, well, I've still got that Danny Devine calendar for you.
And then because one time I'd sent something to Terry. I forget what. Oh yeah, that was right. It was that chow chow that I made, and yeah, that cost me almost $40 to ship across the pond. So
yeah, I know, and it didn't last a week.
It was really good. Yeah, I'd given some to my supervisors at work once, and they ate it all like that very night. I gave it to them. I was like, "You ate a whole jar of that? Good Lord!"
Oh crap! I may have to commission you to make a couple jars for my mom. She loves chow chow. And you
Oh.
get her some white beans or some mixed beans, boom, chow chow going right in.
Yeah, I've still got the jar around here somewhere. I would send it back, but it's a bit expensive.
No, that's good, man. Keep that. We could down here in the South, mason jars are kind of a way of life. So
Yes, they are. They're not just for jarring up stuff. They're also drinking utensils. They're a place to put tools. They're a place to keep nuts and bolts. We
That's
use
true.
them for everything.
My water pot, my brush is living.
Oh Lord. All right. Well, I have to bring this up. My friend Javin Bonds passed away end of last year. He's the author of the Still Alive series. He used to do this little segment each week in his group, Written Undead, where he would try different foods and different oddities and things and give his opinion on them. And this was his actual jar that I got. The family gave it to me. Missed that guy. But please explain why. Why, oh God, why?
Oh, Marmite. You either love it or hate it. That's what.
I still have a jar of that stuff in my house.
And for the record, I have eaten it. Yeah, I did this thing, and why?
It tastes best warm on freshly made toast. Once it goes cold, it's a bit nasty. It's like eating tar. But yeah, warm it's not bad. But it is literally a byproduct of the production of something else. So it's a weird thing to decide to eat, isn't it?
I tell you what, they didn't spare the salt. They did not spare the salt. There's plenty.
It's basically what's left over after you make beer. So
exactly.
Yep.
Yeah.
Crazy. Actually, one of the people I know that lives in the UK, I got to talking to them about the Marmite, and so they started sending me old school Marmite TV commercials that were just shown in the UK, and those were some of the funniest damn things I have watched in my entire life.
It used to be the old thing: you either love it or hate it.
That literally, and like you get to this one commercial at the end of it, there's a family sitting around a table, and everybody's just loving it, and they're going around, and they get to the little boy at the end, and he just looks at the camera like, really? It's like that's freaking hilarious.
Yeah, it just polarizes people. There's no in between. It's either great or it's horrible.
That's pretty much a day of truth.
I mean, I've had it before, and it's not something I'd eat every day. I know how to properly eat it, and that way, if you actually eat it the way that you're supposed to eat it with like bread and butter, it actually tastes all right. So if you just don't put a huge amount, you have to put a very small amount on it, and it's just so freaking.
It goes all right with cheese as well.
Huh. I hadn't thought of cheese.
Actually,
okay, I might do a taste testing video and actually break out some cheese and some freshly warmed toast, and we'll see how that goes. And I'll post that on Facebook for everybody to laugh at.
Get yourself a decent strong cheddar.
Okay, well, see, I'm big on sharp cheddar and extra sharp. That's like cheeses I eat.
The ones that are really strong that have little crunchy bits in, they're the best.
Oh, okay, I see what you're saying. I got you. All right, well, guys, we're starting to close in on the tail end of this thing, so I just want to, ask you again, or not again, but just ask y'all. Progress with the new book is it's going well, yes?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Okay, we got two different opinions here now. Hold up.
Well, we're okay. Well, the new book we had slowed down a bit on that because we're kind of backtracking and doing some additions to the first two books. Once that's done, we're getting back, taking care of the new book, and I think it's gonna go at a pretty good pace.
It's more a case of this one is a much more complex narrative than the other three.
Okay. Now, is that going to be kind of the development we as readers should expect throughout, or is this kind of like a one-off of having to get a little complex?
It's probably because I'm the one that came up with the majority of it, and I overthink it.
Harry's doing the lion's share of the work on this one, whereas the last three was either mostly me or kind of a equal amount me and him. So
we tend to come up with the idea. I'll roadmap it for Brandon and say, right, this is what we worked out. Brandon will ignore it, so I'll get annoyed. And then we'll get back on track. This one, because I the coven is actually an idea I had because there's genetically engineered different sort of people for one of the factions, and there's ones that are basically used as human processors. That's their whole existence. They live in a pod and they have implants in them that help to process vast amounts of information. And there was a ship that basically got in a battle and was left derelict. So some of these survived, and they had to learn to survive on their own. So they've got masses of implants, intravenous feeding things, to basically so they could learn to live outside of a pod. But it means their whole group social dynamic is a bit complex, and I realise that it's going to take a lot to explain it in this story. That's why it's going to be a long one.
Yeah, well, let me ask you this then. There's something I really love in books. It doesn't matter the genre, sci-fi, horror, zombie, what it don't matter. It's some good one-liners or like having a couple friends that give each other crap all the time.
Oh,
Do we have humor in this?
Oh yeah, we definitely do.
there's the character Paige actually has quite a bit of history with the main character Zerx, to the point that there is an unexplained thing as to why she calls him Chicken or Chuck all the time.
Yeah. And then we have two characters there, both they're called Hellions. That's one of the alien races in our story, and it's a father and son duo that they work as techies for the Reckless crew under Zerx, and they kind of butt heads with each other constantly. If you ever watch Pacific Rim, if you remember the father son duo, who the Australian guys, yeah, they're kind of like that.
Okay. Guys, I'm thoroughly freaking intrigued. I've got to find out what this is all about. This makes me so happy that I did that random post. Just threw it out there. Like, here, anybody want to come on the show? Man, I'm glad I did that because you guys need some attention. Y'all need to be out there with everybody paying attention to what the hell y'all are doing because, dude, I'm digging all this.
We're working on the social media presence side of things because the trouble is we're both a bit rubbish at that. So
Yeah, like currently we're trying to put together something for TikTok, what you call it, a short comic, and then we're gonna have like some, dialogue between us, and we're gonna be doing that pretty soon. I'm also going to start doing. I've done other audio book reviews on YouTube in the past, but I haven't done them in a really long time. I'm about to start that back up since I've been doing steady book reviews for Interview Magazine. I'm going to start doing that myself.
Oh, cool. Hell yeah. Well, let me know where drop a link, once this show goes live, that to remind myself because I'll forget because I'm ADD too. Be sure to jump in there in the comments and drop links. Get those in there for the people that are watching this so that they're readily available to them and they can click and go with it.
For
That's
our
probably
viewers,
where Brandon and I complement each other because he's ADD and I'm Asperger's, so I hyper focus on things and he doesn't focus enough on things. So it's it definitely works. Yeah.
Squirrel.
And for those who want to know, you can usually follow us majorly on DeviantArt. It's wildspacesaga.deviantart.com. We post concept art, we post short comics, we post news, new things that are popping up, and we will have information on when those things start coming out, especially for the TikToks and that we're going to be doing soon. And even if TikTok doesn't last, I know what's been going on in the background of the government. We'll have those things available like on this YouTube Reels and things you can probably put up on Instagram. So we'll definitely be providing information on that. And for my book reviews, if you're interested, it's In Review Magazine, interviewcritics.com. And if you want to know about my YouTube channel, it's Deckcrash, DECKRASH. That is my YouTube channel where I'm going to be doing my book reviews.
And for me, you basically stick a message on a pigeon's leg and then let it fly and see if it arrives.
It'll reach both of us if you send us a note on DeviantArt.
Is it just me? Or are the British not the most smart mouse sons of bitches on the planet? I just love it. God damn. me and Brandon over here being all like business and shit. I was in here like, yeah, hey, like what the fuck?
Well,
I love it
to
though.
be fair, it's only because I don't have a massive social media presence at the moment. So yeah, it's quite literally, this might as well be a cave at the moment, for me that I live in.
Well, make sure y'all get, any videos that y'all do, any reviews that you do, get those onto Facebook and have them in a public setup so I can share them because, like I said, just like the show we're doing right now, I'll throw that stuff out there in all kinds of different places in front of all kinds of different faces because that's what we do here. We are out to make you famous, or at least try. So make sure anytime you got new content, send it my way because I'll fire it right out there into the universe, man, without hesitation.
Right. Well, we'll do.
All right, guys. Well, this has been a blast, but I need to let you know when you get ready to release that next book, you need to holler at me because something we do under the Angry Eagle, the Word Peddler Society umbrella, the Angry Eagle Publishing umbrella, amongst all our mini shows, because this is just one of them. This ain't even the main one that started the whole thing. This is just something I came up with. We do book release parties, which will have you with me and Jen Folk and possibly Dungeon Dan Amato, maybe Angel Ramon, to hype your book the week of its release so that we can get to even more people. So don't hesitate to get in touch with me when y'all are ready to release the darn thing.
All right then.
All right, guys.
Appreciate that. Yeah.
Well, for Brandon, Terry, Jack, we've been tripping through the stars. We will see you guys next week with who knows? You never know because I never know. I'm just searching the stars. Peace out. And